Hey folks, today's the day. We're going to finish up some work inside the storage area, the chicken coop, because it's fall and we want to get this done by winter. And I'm going to let Kelly explain to you what we're doing over here in the corner.
So basically what we're doing, this is going to be a brooder slash ER bay, or anybody that gets sick and needs to be isolated from the rest of the group. We're going to build inside cages here, brooder on top, ER bay on the bottom. We'll have a door that goes out to the run outside there, and eventually we'll have hardware cloth that goes along the one side of the wall there to isolate them, and we'll put a gate in there or a door in there to walk through.
Cool. All right, let's get her done. We're going to cut some blocks to go in between these 2x4s. I think we're going to need 2 runs of them, so that's what I'm doing now. We'll go get those cut. Got a little competition going on in here. There's a chicken already in this nest box, but because she doesn't want to lay over here in the sun, Kit has gone trying to stuff herself in there too with the other chicken because it's in the shade. All right, we got our first couple sets of blocks in. Kelly is making 2 more blocks for each of these, so 4 total. She's cutting those right now. This upper section will be the brooders because the babies don't need the height. So we're leaving that at about 1.5 feet, 2 feet. And then the bottom section is going to be 4 feet tall, so we can actually put some roosting bars in there. So the birds that are in here will actually have some place to jump up and get elevated. They feel more comfortable when they're roosting. So, hey, Blondie, you're being too noisy. I know somebody's in your nest box, but you're going to have to wait your turn. So, these are the pans that Kelly's going to use. They're going to be removable, so you can bring these out and clean them. There'll be wire over the top, so the chickens will actually be on the wire when they're in here. But anything that'll go through the wire will get in the pan, and we can drag that pan out. And then there'll be another pan up here that slides out. Okay, we got all of our blocking in. The next thing I needed to do is work on the door. So I had this piece of aluminum in the shop. What I did was I went and cut a 2x4 in half, a green treated 2x4, and then I made little notches in it right here for the door to ride in, right there. It was the width of that piece of metal. And then I drilled a hole in these blocks. Gonna put a pulley up here. Right now I just got an eye screw and a pulley here. So when you pull on the cord there, the door opens up, and then we can just hook it over here when we want the door to be open. This will be a manual door. So Kelly will only open this door when she wants the chickens to go out, or she can leave it open in the summer if they're going in and out. But that's the way our door works. That'll be fine. All right, well, if you could see it, we put our hardware cloth on the wall, and that keeps them out of the wall space in here. And now we're starting to work on the structure of the area itself. We've got an 1.5 inch piece on the bottom that's going to hold the wire up off the floor so we can get our clean out tray underneath. And then we got our 1.5 inch piece on the top, which our wire is going to fasten to up here for the top panel. And then we have a piece cut for here, but we got to cut another piece that comes off of that. And then we'll put our 2 upright pieces over here, and it'll start coming together, and it'll make more sense to you once we get this thing going. All right, we got most of our framework done with the exception of this board right here. But it's going to integrate into the tray support, so I haven't cut that one yet. So we can wire this, and we can wire this side here, and then the top is going to be a solid piece of plywood, so we can use that as a shelf. And then all we'll need to do, well, right now we're just going to get the tray support in here. So that's what's next. All right, we got our top tray holder in, and then we were able to put in our other sideboard here. These will just pull out to clean, and there's going to be wire on top of here for the little chicks. So anything that goes through the wire will be able to clean out with this tray here. Now this tray down here just sits on the floor. Kelly, you want to pull that out and show them? It just slides right out like that. The chickens can, well, whatever's in here, we'll shoo them outside when we clean this so they're not pooping on the floor. So we have the wire cut for this. We're going to put this wire on, and we're going to put the side wire on over here, and then I think we'll probably call it a day. All right, we almost got her done. We got the wire floor in here in the bottom. We did not get to the wire on the side. Kelly wants to call it a day because we've earned tacos, and we're going to go get them. So the bottom tray is done. The only thing I got to do is build doors here. And I'm going to build kind of a header down here where it gets below the outlet plug. And then I'll build double doors down here on the bottom. So all we have to do is screen the sides and build those doors. We got our outer door ready to rock. So about got it. Well, it's another day. Oh, there goes Cat as soon as I start the video. Kelly's back to work, but we need to continue on with the inside of the chicken coop that we didn't get done. If you've been a friend of the channel, you know that we're putting this kind of hospital pen and brooder section in here for future use inside the storage area of the coop. And we're wanting to get this lower section done because our baby guineas here are getting big enough where they're not going to want to be in this tub anymore. And if we have them in here, they can go outside and have their own little run. So first order of business, what I did, the temporary rope I had on our door, I went and got some good polyester rope that's going to last a good long time, and we switched that out. And then we actually got some pulleys instead of just those eyelets. So the rope pulls really super easy now. And then I adjusted our hook down here where you can latch that on if you had two hands, like that. So that just holds the door open. Just a real easy mechanism. We don't need an automatic door on this one. So I've got that done. And now I'm going to cut a piece of plywood for the top up here. We're going to make that solid. It'll not only hold the heat in better when we're brooding, it'll also act as a storage area up here on top that we can use to set things up there. All right, we got some 1/2-inch OSB we're going to cut. We've got our little straight edge that we can follow with the saw. It's a clampable straight edge that doesn't move. And there's a 4-inch offset on our blade. So we needed 21 3/4. So we went 25 3/4 to this edge, and that'll allow for the offset of the saw. So we're going to get this piece cut. Our other measurement is 3 feet. So I'm just going to use our big sheeting square here. We measured over 3 feet. I'm going to make a line. I'm just going to cut that freehand with the saw. Now, one quick tip we didn't tell you, when you're working with the saw, these saws cut in an upward direction. So if you've got a good finished side, like this side is a nice smooth side, and then the other side is the rough side, you want to cut with your rough side up, unlike what I did here. So your tear out goes to the bottom side that you're not going to see, and your top smooth side stays nice and finished or nice and smooth. It doesn't really matter with what we're doing here, but if you wanted a much nicer look on something, that's the way to do it. Same thing with the table saw. The table saw actually cuts downward, so you would put your smooth side up, your good side up, so the tear out's on the bottom. All right, we got our lid on our brooder coop. So now what I need to do is we want to put a lip here. So when Kelly opens the doors, the small birds or the chicks can't like just spill over the side. So be like a little fence here. So we're going to come up about 3.5 inches or so. I just may throw a 2x4 in here sideways. That'll probably work the best. So we'll get that cut. Starting to rain here, so it's a good day to work indoors. We'll take the rain. We got this piece made. I had actually 2x8, so instead of the 3.5 tall, we went ahead and made it 4. And that'll give us a little fence to where the little chickies just don't spill out like a waterfall here onto the floor. And this side's going to have wire, so it'll be fine over here. So we're going to have to make doors, but before we do that, I'm going to get this lower area ready. We initially put an 1.5 inch piece across here. In retrospect, I should have put a full width 2x4 to make that a little sturdier so it's not moving around. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to cut another 1.5 inch piece, maybe 1 3/4, and put right on top of that and connect them, screw them together, and that'll make that a little bit more rigid there on the bottom. So we got our other piece made all the way across. So I got to thinking about the waterer. We're going to need a water here for the winter that's a warmer, and this is about the smallest that they make. So if it's inside there, it's going to take up probably half of the floor space in there, which we just can't have. So I built a little platform out here to put it on, and then we frame this wall up. We'll cut a notch in the bottom of the wall for the waterer to slide into, and then they'll have access to the inside in there. And that'll do 2 things. That'll get it up off the ground, which is better. And then being they'll only have access to about this much of the waterer, they won't foul the waterer as much, and the water will stay a lot cleaner. So I think Kelly's going to be pleased with that. I'm going to get another 2x4 and make a piece right underneath this outside. It sits on there nicely, but I just want to put a little bit more stability out underneath this side, and then that'll work out good. And then only about half of this coop is going to have a door. We'll make a door hinge off of this side because it's the strongest. And we'll do about half of the coop as a door. And then we'll frame this in accordingly. So we're going to start doing this framework, and then we can think about all the wire and stuff after that. All right, we've got our half wall put in here. It's ready for screen. I left a barrier down here to put the screen on. And then the base for this heated water is 3.5 inches thick. So we allowed for that. We came up 3.5 inches off of that pedestal. So until we get the heated base under it, I just have a 2x here for support. So you can see how that water slides right in that notch. And then the chickens can drink out of the back side of that. So the next step we got to do is, before we put any wire on, we're going to make a door for here. And I believe we're going to make 2 doors for up here. So that's what's next. All right, starting another day. Nice, beautiful morning out here, nice and cool. So we're going to start framing the doors. And when we do the doors, we're going to do kind of a rabbet in the end of the door. So the door will come together like this and give it a little more stability, because we're only using 1 screw. And by doing this, we're keeping this piece from turning using only 1 screw. So to cut this slot, and once we've trimmed this piece off, this will be exactly 3/4 of an inch here, because we're dealing with 1.5 inch stock. I'm using my mortising jig here on the table saw. Kelly actually bought me this like the first year we were together for Christmas, and believe it or not, this is the first time I've used it. So had it for a long time. I don't have a tenoning jig, otherwise, well, actually this is the tenoning jig. I don't have a dedicated mortiser. Otherwise we could do a full mortise and tenon on these doors. But this is the jig we're using. The stock just clamps in here, and this runs in the slot on my table saw and just cuts a portion out of that piece as you run it through. All right, the next thing we need to do is cut this little block out of here. And how we've got set up for that is I set up my rip fence to where we're exactly 1.5 inches to this side of the blade. And then I set my saw blade to exactly 3/4 of an inch deep or up. And then I did a test piece to confirm that we were okay. And now we're going to run those pieces through. What you got to be careful of, if you'll notice, one side of this is wider than the other. Because of the saw blade, you have to allow for that. So you have to see which one here is 3/4, and then you'll cut this one off. So now you see how they're going to fit together like this. And then we can put one screw. We're going to pre-drill this piece here so we don't do any splitting. And we'll put one screw in this way, one screw in this way, and that piece can't turn just having one screw. And it'll be a lot more solid. And then this piece goes on the other end, of course. And then we have our door framed out. And then the wire we're going to put on it is going to hold it from racking, so we may not have to put a diagonal on there, but we can always add that later if need be. All right, we've got the door in the hole. It fits good. We just got to put the wire on it. We've got the hinges on it. I had these cool old window latches that I'm using, and I made it so the handle goes down, because if you make it so it goes up, if something was to get in here and push on that, it would unlock. But that's how she works. So this got to put wire on it like everything else. So we're going to get these two top doors put together. They go together in the same fashion as this one does, but there's two of them. And that's what we're going to do now. All right, folks, we got the doors done. We got them hung. I decided to make the top doors go down so they're not out here in the way. And I have the same kind of latch I put on there. These swing down out of the way like that. And I just got to buy another one of those latches because I only had 2. So when I get into the town at the hardware store, I'll buy those. So all we got left is just putting the wire on the outside, and these 2 things are ready to rock. I'm going to make a tube feeder for this side. I'll do a video on that in case you've never seen it. It's a real cool thing. That also gets the feeder out of that area down in there, so they have as much floor space as they can get. I'm going to put a couple roost bars in here, probably in this area over here above the door. And that way they can jump up, think they're roosting in there. But hope you enjoyed this project. Kelly's going to come out later. She's sleeping in. She probably had a rough day at work yesterday. And we're going to get this wired up. The project for this weekend is to get this wall and this door up. I won't do a video on that because we have a video on this whole thing with including a door. It's going to be the same door that we did. And once we get that done, once these guineas are ready, they can be in this area over here for the winter. But they've just about outgrown their tub over here. They're sitting on their perch, and they got about 3 or 4 inches till they hit the wire over here. But Kelly may even transfer them up here to her actual brooding area, which would be cool. And that'll open this area back up for our storage because our tubs are outside right now. So until next time, stay safe, stay healthy. We love you guys. Come back and see us at Mark Kelly Farms. I promise I'll get back in the kitchen here before long, especially during winter. When it's too cold outside to do anything, we're going to do some more recipes and stuff. So I apologize if you've been waiting for those. So come back and see us.